Are you hitting? Are you hitting? Are you?
I'm scared.
What happened?
The Supreme Court is supposed to revisit affirmative action.
Really?
They're
Yeah.
boring.
The court announced on Tuesday that it has agreed to hear a challenge to the University of Texas affirmative action program.
Yeah, and it's an interesting. It's an interesting thing. This cause because this particular case comes down because Texas. And by the way, yeah, we're blaming you, Texas. The discussion comes down because there was a student claimed that she was not accepted into the University of Texas, which is a state school, and
Because she is white.
because she's white. And so the school currently has a rule that 10%, the top 10%, if you're in the top 10% of your school and you live in the state of Texas, you are accepted into the program. And then outside of that, outside of the top 10%, then race is allowed to play a role in admissions. Well, race, grades, all that other stuff can play a role. But the top 10%, you get in, right? So apparently this young lady was not a part of the top 10%, and then she didn't get in. And so she's claiming that that using race is the reason why. Now, there was already a case where this was actually talked about on the Supreme Court, and they found that it was reasonable that state schools can do this. They are now saying that that's not fair. And this is becoming problematic. Well, one, everyone's like this. Everyone's really nervous about this because one, we have a conservative court. One person's already recused themselves, and there's a solid chance that this would just they will strike this down, and this will become a bigger story. Because like some states don't allow, like California doesn't allow race to play a role into getting into schools like that, but some states do, and it's bringing up the whole concept of affirmative action again. And I'm starting to grow weary of having to explain why affirmative action is important. It's a thing where it's like everyone keeps talking about how we have to be equal, there needs to be equality, but then no one acknowledges why these things are created in the first place, because there isn't quite the equality that you speak of. And I don't know, how do you go about this? How do you what's the discussion to have at this point? Because if you don't get why, and Christian Lander actually made a very interesting point. Like I say, stuff like people like, I just saw him because we performed together. He said that in order to create equality, because they said, how do you fix all this stuff? He goes, in order to create equality and to fix the problems, there would have to be sacrifices, and white people are not prepared to sacrifice. I did, because by the way, this young lady didn't not go to college because of this. She went to the University of Louisiana. But she's like, no, I did not get it. No. And that's that. So how do you clearly have this discussion? And I believe, isn't Texas where they had the crazy bake sale, where the affirmative action bake sale?
Yeah.
Where the whole concept was, if you're black, then the cake is a quarter, but if you're white, the cake is $5 or something like that, which is just that's not how affirmative action works. And I feel like people genuinely don't get it. I've said it before. I used it on an episode of on This Week in Blackness when I was trying to explain why there's a need for affirmative action. Like I said, imagine a race, and then they say, go, and they shoot off the starting pistol. And then everyone starts running. I'm sorry, let's rephrase that. White straight males start running. And they take off, and they are out. And you cannot move because apparently you're probably slowed down by your slavery chains and or your vagina. So you can't really run very well. You're not apparently run very fast, but the white dudes are just off. And so in order to try to fix this thing, because that's what happened in this country. Let's be clear on what happened. That's exactly what happened. So to fix this, they are trying to figure out ways to help people, how to move people forward, how to fix decades, hundreds, centuries of inequality within the country. How do you fix this? How do you go about doing this? Or do you just let it ride and go, whatever, it'll fix itself? It'll fix it. It'll even out at some point.
Because the market will fit.
The free market will totally fix it. Yeah, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really, it's what are you supposed to do with this? I do sometimes it's kind of like, when I read, I was like, really, we're actually going to really, because obviously this is, people are being discriminated.
Lives are being destroyed.
Destroyed. Because, that whole, all of your pesky ethnicities, because apparently vaginas and ethnicities are very heavy. Well, minority ethnicities.
Wouldn't mind finding out what percentage of people think what percentage of the country is black or brown. I think that there are a handful of people that just assume that the country is maybe 45% black people, 56% black people. The way they're fighting so ferociously for their freedoms and for the end of affirmative action and to get their kids into college and the struggles.
Right.
74% African Americans.
Because apparently with the test, with the way they're doing the admissions, it allows for the top 10% rule. I believe it was 21% black and brown, black and Hispanic. They said with the ruling in Texas, and then with the affirmative action, it went up to 26%.
Wow, a whole.
And they, 26%. So, look at the math, but that's too much because 21% is fine. 21% is fine. And they're talking about this, and we're about to be a state where it's not even, whatchamacallit, we're not even the majority anymore. So then why are you the majority at the school?
I don't understand.
If the problem, if literally one of the arguments,
majority at the school
right,
should be the majority. It should reflect the population.
They literally made the argument: we're not even going to be the majority anymore. So why are these rules involved in place?
Probably in place because if the majority matched the population, then that's it fixing itself. But
because it's Texas, isn't there a large Hispanic population in Texas?
But since you can't fix yourself, then we have to create laws so that it can be fixed.
Yeah, well, I'm not amused, Eljoy.
Because if it was fixed, then you wouldn't.
I'm not amused, Eljoy.
Anyway.